What's up, YouTube? Before I get started, I didn't feel like hooking up the GoPro, so I got the shitty camera. Bear with me. But I saw this video. I saw the title of it a few days ago, so I saved it and I went through the comment section a little bit, but I didn't watch it because I wanted to fresh react to it. And I'm going to point out some few things, including one of the comments before I even get started. First of all, black male dating coach. Now, the thumbnail had quite a few people on it. I can't remember. But what? Um, one of here, I'll just say this: I am not someone who is in favor of dating coaches. I'm just not. As a dating coach, I feel that even some the most logical dating coaches that I've heard, like I agree with Mo One Ellen Roger Curry, but I still feel like he, at the very minimum, has lapsed in his logic where he just Superman's for female nature when it's unnecessary. Um, I agree with about half what Kevin Samuels says, and obviously disagree with the other half. So even the most logical dating coaches, to me, I disagree with on some level because I think they all, at some point, pander to a group of people minimum. Now, one of the comments that I've seen, which gives me an idea of where this video is going to go, is this girl said something about, and she was talking about Kevin. She said, yeah, because obviously this is about black guys. She said, yeah, I'm 5'9", and I guess she put her weight there. I didn't catch it. I remember her mentioning her height, and she uh she said, and I found a guy who loves me something for something something something. Now, here's the problem with that. Before we get into the video, just because you found someone, oh yeah, she said her boyfriend doesn't call her a linebacker. Again, here's the problem. Just because someone doesn't, just because someone's with you, doesn't mean that when somebody says you need to do some work, they were wrong. Doesn't mean that at all. No, I don't know who her boyfriend is. She obviously didn't post a picture in the comment section. She didn't go into detail, so I don't know what her situation is. I just know that ignoring what someone said just because you got someone doesn't make them wrong. Example. To this day, there's like 1.5 chicks that will still call me. But I don't want to even get into the situation with them anymore because I really don't like my options there. Now, let's say I was to go ahead and let's say anybody, a male or female dating coach, was to give me some advice. I'm just like, whatever, I ain't got to change nothing. And one of them calls me again. I'm just like, all right, cool. I can go to the comment section of any video and say the exact same thing. Oh, I got me a girlfriend and she just takes me for blah blah blah. But the fact that I didn't really want them in the first place, wouldn't that be, what would that really say? Does it prove anything right or wrong? No. It just simply means you found someone. We don't know how to grade that. And if you don't want us grading, why'd you bring it up? All right, so last thing before I get into the video, now it says the sadism of black male dating coaches. I looked up the word sadism and it has something to do with like taking advantage of people sexually or something like that. I can't really remember. Well, I'll go and do that as well. But I'll read this because I think this is more in line to what I think she's going to say. And it says, um, one characterized by sadism, or whatever how you pronounce it. A person who takes pleasure in inflicting pain, punishment, or humiliation on others. Now, people have been saying that about Kevin since he blew up. Oh shit. So I'm assuming that fits, right? I don't fucked up and messed up. Give me a second. So I'm assuming that that's what they're talking about, right? But let's go ahead and look up sadism, what she said. God, stop it. Ads. The the direct the derivation of sexual gratification from the infliction of physical pain or humiliation of another. That's why I went with sadist as a part of sadism, because are you? I mean, unless you're trying to say that they get off on humiliating other women. I'm assuming black women, but whatever. Let's go ahead and finally get into the video.
If there's anything that I admire about Black women in 2021, it's your commitment to self-improvement. The manosphere loves to say that Black women don't like accountability, but it couldn't be further from the truth. You fill the seats at every Women's Empowerment Summit and TED Talk. You're buying all of the self-help books. You spend 9 times more money on beautifying yourself than your non-Black counterparts. You're obviously trying to create a better version of yourself to present.
Okay. Here's actually the accountability part. She actually did an injustice for black women up front. Because, well, first of all, this isn't where it started, but everybody fills up TED Talks. And then you spend the most money on beautifying yourself. Now, maybe she'll get there, but I'm seeing someone in the mirror using cream, which I'm assuming that is going to be the typical makeup, hair, this and that. One of the biggest things that they talk about in the manosphere is the weight thing, right? And while we're on the weight thing, all right, here's what I think is the issue with the weight thing. It's not simply that you're overweight. Like, it's like America, your average adult in America is overweight, especially if you're talking about 30 and up. I think the problem with the weight issue, as far as what they say with black women, is you start to see a lot of them like damn near look like Big Mama at 20. You get what I mean? So it's like maybe that's what they're talking about. Now, I've never looked up their stats. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But it's obvious that there's a lot of fat people in America. So I don't think it's just because you're overweight. I think it may be to the degree. Maybe.
Present to the rest of the world, and it's paying off. I guess when you're at the bottom of the social ladder, the only way to go is up, and clearly we understand the assignment. We love self-improvement. We love us a good expert, a good life coach. We'll pay top dollar for the wisdom that we know that we need. I most certainly have, and it was worth every dollar and dime.
We will pay a life coach? I don't hear many people at all. And I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I'm still on like Facebook and Instagram, kind of. I haven't heard at all anybody talking about getting a life coach. So that's I can't call it a lie, but I can't really just full on believe it either.
Women, the world is watching your ascension in awe and admiration. But there seems to be one subject on your report card that's consistently getting a big fat D, as in dating disaster. Many of you are in terrible relationships, and even more of you aren't in relationships at all. For some, this is by choice, but for many of you, there's something very wrong happening. And it does
That by choice thing. Remember what I said earlier about my options. When people say they're single by choice, are they saying that they really just like being single because they just are just so awesome on their own? Or are they choosing to be single because their options suck? That is such a loaded statement when people say that. Because you're not really telling us why. And either way, when you say, well, I'm choosing to stay single, you gotta at some point put in there because your options suck, right? To me, that is just go hand in hand when you say, I'll remain single. I'll let you say because I have a really demanding job or something like that. Fine.
doesn't make any sense because you're buying all of the dating books, you're watching all of the dating gurus. I was in a room on Clubhouse last night talking about resting in your femininity, and it had almost 600 black women in the audience listening to men tell them to learn to submit. I've never had any one of my Asian friends mention a dating book that they were reading. I've never heard of a dating coach for Latin women. I guess white girls have The Bachelor and they do have a few dating coaches, but their single rates are dwarfed by yours, and I've never never seen a clubhouse room with 620-something-year-old white women trying to figure out how to get a quality man. Now, I've heard all of the modern day complaints that black men have about black women. They do make a few points, but if you let them tell it, you're all single because you're fat, masculine feminists with standards that are way too high who won't submit. Masculine.
That's almost accurate. That's almost accurate. I think we're a little more logical than that. You know what I mean? Now, for the most part, the what I want the key to know is the standards being too high. It's more that goes into that than simply you just wanting something, right? It's it's time and time again we have made it very clear. It's based on what you can get. So if you are what she's all the shit she said up there, the fat, feminist, masculine, blah blah blah, then you should probably go get, a guy. You should probably get the out of the mouth basement, right? But the issue is, you look at we have criticism of dating coaches as well. Like somebody like Steve Harvey, who will never tell. Like I remember there's this clip where he tells women that men need to just stay in their financial dating range because women don't like guys who make less than them. But it's just like, well, on the opposite end, they have wouldn't they stay in their range and just date guys who will get with women that look like them or in their circumstances? It's it's really what that argument comes down to.
Certainly some of you are, but that's not the reason all the Southern belles and the church girls are single too. What's their excuse? Feminist? White women pioneer fourth wave feminism in this country, and black men can't.
I haven't heard her say it, and maybe she'll get to it. But I remember that one guy said, well, actually, you know what? I'll say one that's like super recent. This chick posted in LaPete's Facebook group that since y'all say women file for the most divorces, it shouldn't be why can't men keep women. It should be why women can't keep a man, why man can't keep a woman. And my response would have been, because obviously that's a shit answer on a shit thread, and everybody's going to be haywire. You got to take into effect of all of the abundance of human beings you have at your disposal. That also keeps you single as well. Than not being able to make your mind up. Look how many people go into hell. Look at a buffet. Go to a buffet. You know what? That's not. I haven't been there in a while. I don't have a good example. But just go like to your supermarket or Walmart, Mart, or anything. You get people walking up an aisleway and just uh, it's like you have toilet paper over here, paper towel over here. You need one. Fucking move. So the abundance of options. She hasn't mentioned that yet. Maybe we'll get there.
Get enough of them. Same goes for the overweight combo. Give me a break. And standards way too high, that one is a joke. If you think black women's standards are higher than Asian women and Latino women and white women, I don't think that we're living on the same planet. Obviously, we're doing something wrong here, but it can't just be that all of you are terrible partners. In fact, I'm certain that isn't the case. While black couples have the highest rate of divorce of all couples of all races, when they split up and marry interracially, black men's divorce rates go up even higher, which is kind of normal. Interracial couples have higher divorce rates than couples of the same race, but you are an exception to that rule. When you marry interracially, your divorce rate goes down. Maybe this problem isn't all you, and yet you're being inundated with messaging that says that it's mostly you. With dating results this bad for black women, the advice that you're getting on dating needs to be examined, as well as the people who are giving it. Recently,
Of course, anytime you get advice, always need to go over it, look it up, right? Now, before that, when she said your divorce rates go down when you marry out, and like you're the only one, you have to combine that. And I'm not sure what it still will come out to, so this is not a claim to anything. But what you have to combine that with is where do you rank in getting married at all? And they said you're at the bottom. Okay, so combine that with you're getting divorced at the lowest, and look at the reasons, and then you can make a better claim either way. Now, here's where was I going with this? All right, so again, the reasons, right? So let's say, damn it, where am I going with this? Here's what I was saying. I'll keep it moving because I can't remember where I was going with it. Maybe when you marry out, it's because you marry up more likely, maybe, and that would explain why you get divorced less. Or maybe when you marry out, you marry more towards what on your level is, and that's why it's not literally just because, oh, well, then you can't be the problem. And I see this a lot. When I remember Judge Lynn Toller telling some guy how she was going over why men should get married, and it's like, well, because when men get divorced, they're more likely to remarry, and women are less likely, and it's because we're handy, and then we just be good on our own. And it's like, that's what the fuck you got from that number? Maybe that you guys, because you all like to marry up, status wise, that he's more marryable than her. That could be a possibility as well, in combination with what you said. But whatever, it's just because you're awesome.
There's been a lot of talk coming from Black men about what a high value man is and how to get one and how to keep one. With Black
I listen. I understand he's getting his money, whatever. I'm really pissed off right now with this high value man talk. How many times have it's been just expressed that is such a finite group of people, but yet everybody who has a conversation, apparently, I'm pretty sure the two dudes in the screen are high value. Every dude is just high value, right? When it's only a small percentage wise. Why does a small percentage get this much of the conversation? That explains the problem right there.
men being socially and economically on the bottom in almost every country in the developed world, I don't know how the irony got lost on them when they think they're the experts on the topic of high value. The dating coaches that you all know and love aren't necessarily dusty, but most of them don't have any professional qualifications either, and this is still the most divorced demographic in the country.
We've been telling y'all that for fucking ever about Steve Harvey. We've been telling y'all that forever about Nick Jackson. But when they speak y'all language, it's like, oh, so what? They're saying shit we agree with. Of course they're right.
Dating gurus included. The Black men giving out relationship advice are often never married or divorced 2 and even 3 times, and some with divorces pending perhaps. But their rhetoric isn't about relationships or marriages or happy homes.
Why would you show a picture of Nick fucking Cannon? Why? Nobody said, no dude ever. Well, I'm not going to say ever, but most dudes is not like Nick Cannon. Follow Nick Cannon. This is cheating. Because even if you don't even if you don't really say that he's a part of the dating coaches, because I've never heard of him give any dating advice, it's cheating to put people's mind on Nick Cannon when talking about this subject. Obviously, he's not a role model or an example, a good example, for how to have a structured situation. Obviously. Cheater.
It's about them. It's a sounding board for their pathology, their demands, a manifesto on what women need to do to make sure that Black men get everything that they want. And you, Black women, a group of people whose self-esteem is generally tied up in whether or not you get picked, are the perfect audience for that kind of message.
I don't know about the whole tied up in getting picked, because y'all been on the whole culture for at least 5 years now. So I don't. Get picked by who? Tyrone? I'm not sure y'all self-esteem. Maybe when y'all turn 40, but damn sure not before then.
Now, I made a video about Kevin Samuels a couple of weeks ago, and if you want to know more about what makes him a terrible dating coach, check it out after this. But I really just want you to understand for this video one thing about Kevin Samuels.
Is Kevin Samuels a dating coach? Because I always heard him talk about marriage. And actually, one of the things that he says that I agree with is dating is stupid. Dating doesn't compare to marriage at all. Dating is you meeting up to have fun. That's not marriage. You niggas live routine lives all the time. I mean, if it's structured. So, is he a dating coach, or is he like the premise of his show is, if I'm not mistaken, is how to get a guy who apparently is on the level he's on, right? So, is that a dating coach? Because he says the ultimate goal is marriage, kind of, because it says he has a rotation. Play.
The YouTuber who claims to know what wealthy men are thinking. And that thing is the approach that Kevin Samuels takes when he's giving out some of his quote unquote advice.
I'm sorry, you're 5'8"?
I'm 5'8".
You're about the size of Emmett Smith or Barry Sanders was. You're running back size.
Okay.
You can hit the A gap like a motherfucker.
Yeah. All right.
So don't come in here talk about what men should not be able to do when they got to accept somebody who can run out the power I.
If you ever talk to
Okay, before she says that, listen, I understand that he, trying to make people laugh during the show, whatever. So you can call that distasteful if you want. That's fine. That's acceptable. But the comparison is actually comparing women to linebackers and football players and all this stuff actually is not, depending on how you do it, all that wrong. Here's why. So the guy, somebody who I really don't watch anymore because of his philosophy, he compared Lizzo, her numbers to Shaq. And when you're talking about the attraction, just physical attraction, tell me any dude that if you were to put Shaq, just put a female's face right on Shaq, surgery and everything, but like it's just make Shaq a female, a cute in the face female. How many dudes be like, yeah, I'm about to go fuck Shaquilla up. It's like that's really the message I think that he's trying to get across with the football player comparison.
a black man about Kevin Samuels, they'll usually say Kevin Samuels is a jerk, but his message is good, or he's a little mean, but he's entertaining, like Simon Cowell or Gordon Ramsay, but he's still right most of the time. I assure you that it's a little more sinister than that. In the paper from Cal State University titled Gender and Survival versus Death in Slasher Films, Margaret O'Brien and Gloria Cowan talk about the death by sex trope in horror films. They explained that historically in horror films, the girl who has sex in the movie usually dies first, and the most promiscuous girl gets a horrible, bloody, slow, painful death. The final girl, or the virgin, will get kicked around and beaten up for everyone's viewing pleasure, but ultimately she'll survive. Her friends, not so much.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex.
This is slowly changing, but why have so many horror movies followed this formula in the past? Well, the truth is a lot of men like to see violence towards women, and this is one of the only socially
I was waiting on the build up to what she was getting to. Men like violence. GTA or whatever the fuck game that is. Football. Men like violence. Doesn't really matter who. Men like violence. Men like Bruce Lee. Men like Mike Tyson. Men like violence. I think it's tied to the competitiveness or something. I don't know. The aggression. I don't know. But men like violence. So this idea of it's just about women is that again you're cheating because you're kind of lying. Yes, women obviously would be included in that because men like violence. So when Jason Voorhees kills a chick, it's like, yeah, she dies too. I've never seen a woman get killed on screen like, yes, kill that bitch, yes. Unless she was annoying. Then it's like, yes, kill that bitch, yes. But the movie thing that she was talking about where it's, you kill this person first. I'm not sure what that's about. But I think that is supposed to be linked towards like purity or something. I've heard different movies try to philosophize it out. I don't really know. So maybe there's something there. I don't know, but I think it's more so linked to like purity.
Acceptable ways to experience that. More specifically, men like to see violence towards women who they see as slutty. There is a need to see women
False.
punished for what they consider to be shameful behavior for a woman to engage in. This
False.
is why Kevin's show is so popular. It's more than just a little bit of schadenfreude that men get when they see a woman humiliated publicly. There is a thirst for blood that needs to be quenched.
I'm going to disagree with the reason. Obviously, men will show up that want to see the verbal body slam, or whatever you want to call it, of the woman that call it show. But not because they do slutty behavior, do slutty whatever. It's because, and yes, I'm not in people's tips, so I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's because mostly because society has been telling men that it's all women have outgrown you. Like I said earlier, I think that was Ace Metaphor. No, they've outgrown you. They've evolved, and like you're just lagging behind. And if we have the conversations about who's why relationships aren't working, why nobody's getting married, it's always because you guys aren't the alpha. You guys aren't the this. You guys just whack, and it's just like, so you mean to tell me there's no whack women then? What the fuck? What are you talking about? So when somebody who has a big platform finally gets the ability, gets on there and say, that black ass dude you're talking about, looking at you, understanding that you're a bus driver, I think that's your guy. Now again, he does so in a really mean way. Maybe it's for entertainment, but I think it's more so that, not because some chick is getting her rocks off.
You city girl listening, hot girl summer having harlots need to be stoned. You need to pay for your sins. You need to be punished. How silly of you to call into his show thinking that you're actually going to get something of value out of it, or even worse, that you have a point that you're going to...
Cheating. Fucking cheating. How dare you call this show to see if you're going to get something of value out of it? Telling you leaving humbled and understanding that you qualify for that guy or lower if you want to go lower. That will be something of quality. But it sounds like she's trying to put it up there as, oh well, it's how do you think you can come up here and get this kind of? She's cheating. I can't really word it correctly. She's cheating.
Successfully get across to these men who paid to see you stoned to death. Make no mistake about it, you are the bull in the Coliseum, and Kevin Samuels is the matador making a show out of you, asking you questions about your dress size and age, building up tension until he cuts your head off. And these dusties are paying top dollar to see that happen. But apparently underneath all of that, Kevin Samuels is supposed to have some really good points, which I could only sum up as high-value men want women who are young, beautiful, thin, and submissive with no previous children, of which most of you won't qualify, and thus you won't be able to get a high-value man, so you need to settle before you hit the wall. Of course, that won't explain how she married a millionaire, or how she married a millionaire, or how she married a millionaire. And Kevin Samuels is never going to admit to you that most high-value men are not married to trophy wives, and even if he had the real formula to get a high-value...
That's still irrelevant. Because, again, there are 2,000? How many dudes are millionaires and up? Most of you are going to not get that. That's what it boils down to. You can show this chick right here. I don't know this guy. I don't fucking care. You can show her, but wasn't she in the industry connected to millionaires? Which increases her chances? I mean, just like, come on. Like, again, here's I'll just say this because this is what it is. At this point, people who argue for this side is just like, well, it's higher than zero, so yeah, okay. Fair enough.
man, he would never give it to you because his constituents did not pay all those super chats to see him do that. They paid for validation that you fornicating whores who rejected them in high school will never get a happy ending.
Whores don't get a second chance.
Now, not all black male dating coaches are as aggressive as Kevin Samuels on the surface. Many of them seem to come in peace. They preach black love and might even sprinkle a little bit of faith on top for good measure. But when you just sit and listen to them talk, you realize that what's being discussed is more of the same. I'll give you an example. I sped this clip up of Anthony O'Neill and Stephen Speaks for brevity, but if you want to get a better listen, feel free to slow down the playback speed on this video.
What advice do you have for men who want to understand women? Then I want you to come back around. What advice do you have for women who want to understand men?
Okay. So there's so much we can say here. Okay. But what I feel that I need to say is men need to first understand. Essentially, we have to decide what kind of life we want to live. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm seeing a lot of men say, well, women nowadays want 50-50, so I'm going to do this. Like, you're responding to what you feel is the times of the day. And instead of focusing on creating the life that you want and you desire. Yeah. And in doing so, you're essentially letting women, society, other people lead and dictate to you. As a man, you need to lead in your life. You need to lead and be an example to others of what you want and stand strong in your beliefs. Stop going with the wind right now and how other people are moving. Who cares how other people move? How you want to move? You know what I'm saying? So to me, like, that's where men need to begin. They need to really figure themselves out. Okay. And really make sure they're setting themselves up for what they desire. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
So you're talking about life for myself. I need to have a clear vision on where I'm going in life and what I'm doing.
Yes.
And then include her into that. Am I hearing that correct?
Absolutely. Okay. Number one, understand women love men with a plan, with vision, with purpose. All right.
Okay.
And when you don't have those things, you're so easily swayed, not just by one woman, but by many women. It's very easy to get distracted and fall off track. So you need to find that path in your life first, which is going to help you stand strong in what you need to do, but also seek more clearly who fits into your life. I always say, if you don't know where you're headed, you don't know who belongs on that path with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, figure it out. And I think as men, we have not been taught how to figure this out. We've just, go get a job, go get an education. No, what is your purpose? What do you need to be doing in life? And let's now focus in and lock into that. And then, yes, everything else can start to fall into place.
He's going. Now, I'm gonna flip it on here because I gotta play devil's advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, what about me? What if I know where I'm going? Does that dictate where and what man should be in my life? Because you have the women out there who say it's not all about the man, what he does. It's like we're working together. Like, should I know where I'm going as well?
She should know where she's going as well. Yes. But again, sometimes things hit me spiritually. I gotta say,
come on, baby, come on. I just want to set you up to answer the question.
I think the problem is, a lot of women will say, well, I know what I'm trying to do with my life. No, you know what your parents told you to do. You know what society pushed you to do. You know what your fear of not relying on a man pushed you to do. But you have not figured out who you are and walked in your truth. And so now what happens is, in one example, you become this career woman, you pursue this career, you become super successful, but at the core of who you are, you want a family, you want a man, you want a relationship, but you become so detached from that. And now you hide behind your work, you hide behind God. And now when that man comes, you don't know how to even come together with his life because you want him to be convenient to you and where you are, because it's too hard to now have to dismantle what you have built, but you built it on your foundation, not God's, not purpose, not on the direction you were supposed to be moving in.
I could spend an hour pointing out everything wrong with this clip, but on a macro level, I want to point out that these are two black men discussing what both men and women need to be doing to find relationships. You'll notice that these men feel qualified to have these conversations with or without women in the room. It's because they believe they know exactly what you need. You'll see Hafiz from the Roommates podcast do this all the time.
When a woman is...
Okay, so I forget that guy's name with the long hair, but I mean, for the most part, minimum, yeah. He said that men were. He said both men and women. I don't know if you missed that part, but he said both men and women were just simply told, "Hey, go get careers, go get jobs, go do something." Whereas in the men, and the reason I'm pretty sure he said that was for the difference of men go get yours, and then women, you don't have it convenient for however he worded it. You know what I mean? Women say that they want a guy to lead. We've brought this contradiction up time and time again. Well, I haven't been on any panels, so I say they've brought this contradiction up time and time again, whereas you'll say you want a guy who can lead, but then also he has to fold and just fit into you and what you're doing. It's like you can't ask a leader to do that. So if you want to lead, then yes, that would make perfect sense for you to get somebody who just conveniently comes into your life. But then again, you all complain about, we see it so many times, you complain about guys not being assertive, not being leaders, blah, blah, blah. That's all I said about that.
Really in love with a man, when she really respects him, she becomes utterly dependent upon him.
But in this clip, when Anthony is about to offer up your perspective for you, he says, let me play devil's advocate.
I gotta play devil's advocate.
Interesting choice of words. I'm sure Anthony isn't intending to be controversial.
because he was talking about somebody who was going to disagree with what he just said. That's what people mean by devil's advocate.
Controversial here, but playing the devil's advocate is a debate practice. It's when you argue from a position that you don't agree with so that the other person can come up with more arguments to help you dismantle that position. Anthony is asking Stefan to shut down your position, a position he assigned to you, because there's no women in the room. He's asking for a rebuttal. Why would anyone need to play devil's advocate in a conversation that's meant to find common ground between two people?
Dude, seriously. Do you have a dude right there, right now, talking with you? Do every time you make a video like this, do you make sure there's a man there helping you write the script? He's interviewing a male dating coach. He's a male that is a dating coach. You know what I mean? Is he supposed to make sure that there's a woman in there too? And what if that woman actually does agree with that guy? I hate this position. It's the same shit y'all do with abortion talk. Oh, well, only people who can carry, like, come on, yo. You nitpick more than I do.
Because that's not the goal. There is a clear protagonist and an antagonist in this scenario. On the one hand, there's the protagonist, the black man, who's on a journey to find his path and purpose in a modern day dating culture that wants him to be equal to women or 50-50. And then there's you, the woman.
I thought he said men in general, but again, I guess that's a nitpick.
Who's already on her path, already knows what she wants. That's an obstacle to him. That's threatening to blow him off course with her wants. And
I don't think he ever said you're an obstacle that's blowing him off course. I think he said, if you are not on your purpose, which I'm hating these phrases, they're getting on my nerves. I understand why they're there, but they're getting on my nerves. If you're not on your purpose, anything can distract you, including a woman on hers.
Needs. Yes, you black women, you should know where you're going, but is that really where you want to go? No, it's pressure from your parents. It's your fear of relying on men. You don't know what you really want. You don't know who you really are. You don't want success. You want a man. Sure.
Again, cheating. Why did you wrap success up generally just as that? Maybe success was in a different context than with the independent, because you understand that's what that is, independent. Like, it's let me offer this. Maybe this is whatever. Is it easier for a independent man who's like 35 to then come in and be the leader of a family, or a 35-year-old woman to come in and play whatever role she wants to play? Because from what you all say, once you get up there, says absolutely not. That's just what we have observed. If you want to say we're just cherry picking, fine, but that's what we've observed.
Can have a life of their own and a purpose, but since you want these men, black men, and these men don't have a purpose or a plan, you can't have one either, because these men need to be in charge. You are the antagonist, the obstacle, the threat that needs to be neutralized. Now, in a vacuum, I have no real problems with Anthony and Stefan's point of view that women don't really need a plan, but really just need to pursue starting a family. It's the point of view of a traditional patriarchy. You give up your life goals, dreams, and plans so that a man can be in charge, and in exchange, that man makes sure that you never have to leave the house and go work for someone else again. It's not a bad arrangement if your dream is to be a housewife, and for some of you, it's better than what you have going on right now. But don't be fooled. That's not the arrangement that these men are discussing. Listen to Anthony's response to Kevin Samuels after Kevin makes a video saying that men need to embrace the patriarchy and pay for everything.
My mom makes more money than my father. But my mom still respects my father as the head of the home. My mom still respects my father as the man of the house.
So not only does his mother have a career, but she makes more money than his father. And instead of pointing out that his mother still loves his father, or that they still enjoy each other's company, or that they still get along, Anthony wants you to know that his father is still in charge. That his mother lets him be the head, regardless of the fact that his father is not keeping up his end of the bargain of a traditional patriarchal arrangement. And that is what these videos tend to be about. I
remember hearing this one Once something about a chick. She said, "You men really need you to respect you," or something in that wording. And my response to that was, "No, it's the other way around. You all seem, again, what we've observed, you all seem really unhappy when it's not traditional, right? You when you have to be the ones who make the decisions, who are in charge of everything, you all seem really upset about it. You all seem really, again, you all say, we need in charge. We need the guy to do this. We need a guy to, look, in a perfect world, everybody would just get with somebody and be happy. But that's not how everything fucking works. Every time something goes wrong, everybody else that has nothing to do with it has to be bothered by the consequences. Look, if you can be happy with a guy who makes less than you and you be in charge, go do it. We just haven't seen a whole lot of it. I can't tell you an arrangement I've seen where she makes more money, makes all the decisions, is in charge, and it's just worked out. All those situations, and maybe it's because I'm from the hood, the ghetto, but all those situations is the dude is typically just some lazy bum. Maybe it needs to be a chick that makes $250,000 a year, and the guy, because he didn't tell us the salary numbers, I don't think, and maybe the guy needs to make like 200,000. Maybe that's the deal. Or maybe she makes 80 and he makes 50. Maybe that's the who the fuck knows. And again, here's my biggest pet peeve with these conversations. If you're married, doesn't all the money go in one pot? How do y'all even have these problems as married people? Who's paying most of the bills? Who's taking care? Like, doesn't the money go in one pot? What happened to my money is your money? Or is that only when the guy is the sole breadwinner? Whatever.
Make sure that the men are still in charge, whether they are walking in their purpose or not, whether they can afford to pay for everything.
Who said he wasn't in his purpose? What if he's a police officer and that was his purpose, but she has a career that's more than his? This is why I hate when everybody ties it directly to so you have to in 2021 it has to work like this. But then you all create these problems. And I'm not talking to this one. I'm talking about all of you who say that it has to fit one way or another. I wish it was a perfect, because these conversations are really stupid.
Or not. These dating conversations are not about helping you find love. They are to ensure that even though the black men listening have collectively failed to hold up their end of the patriarchal bargain, they are still in charge. And
I'm going to call a question to that, right? Now, I want to say used to, even though my situation hasn't changed, or what I plan on doing, financing the truck. I could have a patriarchal relationship, but there's not going to be a whole lot of luxury. Everything's still going to be paid for, the necessities, even internet, which, believe it or not, is not a necessity. But who's going to sign up for that? Other than some bum ass chick you might find somewhere on the street. So going to sign up for that. So it's not that you necessarily, obviously, a lot don't. But it's not just necessarily that you just don't hold up your end of the bargain. It's just, again, well, it can't be like that. It has to be in some big ass house somewhere with with ability to take vacations once or twice. Just because it's a first world country in 2021 doesn't mean everybody's going to live that way.
And women who absorb this message, thinking these men are going to give them the keys to a happy relationship, become consumed and ultimately become male identified. You know these women. All of their perspectives hold men at the nucleus. They might refer to other women as females or say that they don't keep female friends.
What is wrong with y'all in the word female? I don't get it. Dude, you want to call men males? Fuck it. Yo, if you want to see me on the street and say, hey, Mel, I promise you I won't give a fuck. What the fuck is up with y'all in the word female? Damn.
Because insert stereotype. They're in clubhouse rooms trying to hold women accountable. They perform as men's attack dogs on these.
You want to know the biggest thing now that she's at women holding women accountable? You want to know the biggest thing is? It goes back to the levels of the shit, right? What when women say that there are no X-Men, blah blah blah, it kind of means what dude are you picking to get your problems? Because you all can go and pick. It's free world. Your dad's not picking. Your uncle's not picking. Mom's not picking. You're picking. So when you pick a dude that's trash, here's the thing. Let's say a man and woman have children, right? We will grant you. We will say that dude is trash. Why did you have a baby with him? And your response is, why are you holding him accountable? He's fucking trash. We said that. Are you trash? And we can just cut it here.
Stupid panels, the pick-me's, the mammies, women who have lost all connection with their own womanhood. They believe that if they completely reject the feminine and appease the masculine, they will get chosen. They rarely do, and when...
What if they're married already? Because a lot of them are. What if they're married already? This is where, at this point, it's not even cheating now. Now it's just a dishonest conversation. Can we have an honest conversation? We know there's blame on both sides. But it seems like as soon as it goes to, hey, the most successful relationships we've seen, the guy's the head of the household. Oh, here we go. So I ask yourself this question. Are y'all okay with being, like I said this began, but again, you have to ask yourself the question. Are you okay with being in charge of the relationship? Which means, are you okay with taking up and fixing all the problems that go on in the relationship? If you say, we do that anyway, well, fucking, okay then. You're happy, right? You fix the problems, right?
When they do, it's not an arrangement to their benefit, because men aren't trying to get women to become male identified because they're attracted to these walking masculinas. They do it because when too many women get together, there's a certain magic, a power that they cannot fight. And if too many women are congregating in secret, well, then you bitches gotta go. They want you to be male identified so they can remain in charge, but they still want you to be feminine and girly, something that gives them the best of both worlds, but is almost impossible and blasphemous for you to do. But who better to help you than the strawberry letter pen pal himself, Steve Harvey? The book Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man is Steve Harvey offering women a look into the psyche of a man in the hopes that...
We told y'all this book was trash. Then read it. Just by the title, it's fucking trash. By who wrote it, it's fucking trash. We told y'all that.
You will do the work necessary to fulfill as much of his wish list as possible, in the hopes that you'll learn how to throw that ass in a circle while quoting scripture and making a sandwich.
You really think so a 90-day rule favors us? I forget all the shit that's in this book, but it's just no. This book isn't for us. It doesn't get us anything but a headache. Why are you saying that? This book is for you, literally for you. This is a trash book. No dude endorsed. No dude. Well, you mentioned the manager. They don't endorse this fucking book.
Comment down below if you want me to do a book analysis for this in the Mahogany Mastermind. But there's two things that Steve Harvey mentions that I want you to take note of. The first is his chapter called Sports Fish versus Keepers that says that men separate women into two categories, side chicks and wife material. We already know this. This is the classic Madonna whore dichotomy that men can't seem to get over. But then Steve elaborates to say that it's your responsibility to make sure that he doesn't treat you like a sports fish.
I know all the mistakes women allowed me to make, and I put them in a book for you. So, look,
I like that part. Women allowed you to make the mistake.
Yeah, women allowed me to make a lot of these mistakes.
Or maybe
so it's their fault?
Or maybe you just shouldn't be a jerk, Steve Harvey. Maybe men. I'm not talking about you specifically, but
Absolutely.
maybe men just shouldn't be jerk and do
And they
jerk
should
like behavior.
But men can.
Maybe people shouldn't just be bad. Again, the conversations can't be had if that's the logic you're going to have. He's trying to say, listen, if you move a certain way, then these things are going to happen to you. That's the context. We're not saying dudes just do whatever the fuck they want and you just got to deal with it. I can understand if you said that and that was your response. That response doesn't fit there.
Be taught proper behavior. Men can be required to have proper behavior. And that falls the responsibility on a woman. If you don't want to be treated like a jerk, then don't allow a guy to treat you like a jerk.
What Gail doesn't understand is that to many men, especially black men, his morality is your responsibility. If he makes mistakes, it's because you allowed him to. If he treats you poorly, it's a reflection of your moral.
Not necessarily. That could be possible. That could be one of it, part of it, but not necessarily just it. Everybody puts people in certain categories. He mentioned that men do put women in 2 categories, which is, I think, kind of fair. Keeper, not keeper, right? Don't y'all put dudes into like 30? Foodie. Look at your context list. Food guy, dick guy, conversation guy, ride guy, text me when I'm bored guy. Like, stop trying to make this about just, their morality only depends on. Why be this dishonest about the conversation, yo? Damn.
Not his. So if women are
And also remember, this is the day and age of sexual freedom, right? So if you fall into you could fall into the not keeper or sport fish, whatever the fuck, just because you put him in the sport fish, right? I think what she might be talking about here is the guy who's taking advantage of a woman who likes him and is just putting out in hopes of getting something back. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that that's the specific scenario she's talking about.
Responsible for making sure that men don't treat them like sporting fish in a community of women that have been smashed and passed ad nauseum. If the women have to teach men to be civilized, why are the men supposed to be in charge?
Maybe this takes place when you're, young, children, how to behave with one another. Maybe when, people like Ben Shapiro or shit, I only know Ben Shapiro, but when they say that maybe society should go back to a place where there are more behavior rules in place and, constrict people of their actions and all that shit, like outside of marriage fornicating, you eliminate problems like this. And you put more structure into your community. But everybody, me included, don't want that shit, right? These are the consequences.
Where is the leadership? It shouldn't be hard to understand how a group of men who have never been in a position of real leadership.
You know what? And I'll give you something. Because here's one of the things that I do have a problem with in regards to the men's side. Is in one day or conversation or panel, whatever, it's like, black people are like this, or society is this, and it's all out of whack, and it's then this and that. And then it's like you'll hear another dude one day talk on another panel or a day talking about, get them numbers up. Like our coach Greg Adams. I'm not sure if he ever preached the other side, but I know he said, this is why I say, young guys, get all that sexual experience before they actually fall in love. Which, again, when people take it out of your system, that shit is just stupid. What are you getting out of your system? Is it you don't think you should have that for your partner? What are you getting out of your system before you come to me? That's stupid. But you can't say that you want structure, but yet you preach that both sides, men and women, or even just men, that just all do what you please until you're 35, because then you'll definitely be, seasoned. Like, that shit's stupid. You by default can have a structure there, or because they're like telling people to run wild and only focus on themselves and use everybody else that comes into their lives as recreate. It doesn't work when you preach that. You gotta preach one or the other, right? So I'll give you that.
Could ever steer you wrong with bad takes on relationships. Somehow they manage to do so. Leaders are supposed to take the lion's share of accountability, but here they are trying to foster it off onto you. Here's Steve Harvey trying to make the collective.
Okay, so she just said the leader's supposed to take the lion's share, but then they foster on you. Issue. If men are the leaders of the society, as what control do we have? What control do we have? I'm not talking about the congressman. I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about the men of every community in America. Black, white, all. You want to keep it black, fine. Let's keep it in the black community. What control do we have over you? The example I'll use here is okay, let's go with the reproduction thing, right? If you want men to step in when your situation goes wrong, and I remember seeing this meme, it was a few of them too, like some years ago, where women were like, "Oh, stop telling us who to sleep with and just go tell men to take care of their business." Like, okay, fine, let's make a deal. We'll stop in and correct your baby daddy if it gets out of line, but we get to pick the baby daddy. Does he have the leadership to do that? Well, how the fuck can he be in charge of your problems? How can he be required to fix your problems? How can he be blamed for your problems?
Mistreatment of black women, the faults of black women. I'm not surprised at all. The next one is his chapter on cheating. For the love of God, I don't understand why so many women are obsessed with understanding why men cheat, but Steve does a good job telling the truth. Men cheat because they can. They cheat.
Well, they're obsessed with it because they might want to stop it. They might want to say, is it me or is it really just them? They could be trying to confirm something, so I guess you don't care to confirm anything.
Because the opportunity presents itself and they can do it usually without getting emotional. Steve admits that he's never met a man that didn't cheat, and the data shows that black men cheat significantly more than men of other races. Steve also says that most men can't go more than a month without sex before they...
How do we know black men aren't just more honest? Because those numbers are self-reported, but I'm just poking.
They start looking for it elsewhere. He just casually waves away the fact that most men will break their wedding vows as just being par for the course. And he doesn't really offer up any consolation for black women.
Let's be fair. Let's be real fair. We're talking about physical cheating. Because if we include any other type of cheating, you people will be number one by fucking far. And I'm talking about women in general, not just black women in general. Again, you break men down into categories. One video I want to do, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, but you guys will get in that relationship. Oh, that's the relationship guy. Boom. I might even marry, right? But how many work husbands? Before I got kicked off Twitter, that was a laughing thread thing for about a month. Have a guy at home, but you get your excitement, your day enjoyment from the dude at work. You're not even fucking. If we include non-physical cheating, you all are number one. But we're just talking about physical, so we're number one. Really. And then another thing. I remember this shit posted that this single guys would never shoot a shot, married guys stay shooting a shot. And I pointed out that part of, not all, the whole thing, part of the reason is because a lot of single guys at this age, they kind of know if they got a shot or not. They kind of know how it's going to go. So they don't shoot. That's you guys pick the ones that got something going on about it, right? I have to tie those two together, don't I? We'll get there.
Women except to say, don't take it personally. I don't know if this is why Steve Harvey's been divorced 3 times, but I'm sure it doesn't help one's marriage to believe that you don't have to be a good husband in order to think of yourself as a good man. When you accept that these men believe that they are allowed to pursue their own interests inside.
Can you be a good husband but good father? Same thing.
And outside of a relationship with you, when you accept that they believe that they don't actually have to be good partners in order to be good men, when you accept that they believe that even if they don't hold up their end of the patriarchal bargain, they still deserve to be in charge, and when you accept that they believe that you...
Maybe deserve isn't the proper word. Like I said when you originally brought it up, maybe it just works best that way.
You are responsible for making sure that they have good morals and treat you with dignity and respect, and that they are not at fault for taking advantage of you. You will start to understand that you don't owe them shit. There's not so much of a problem with what Steve Harvey says. It's really what he doesn't say here that I find to be interesting. What all of them fail to say that I find to be interesting. Steve Harvey is going to tell you that men cheat because they can have sex without emotion, but he's never going to give you permission to do the same or show you how to override your own emotions attached to sex. He'll tell you that most men cheat, but he'll never show you how to make sure that you're properly compensated for your pain and suffering when they do. He's never going to tell you that if your man gets a month behind on the bills, that it's okay for you to go and find yourself a zaddy to pay for your manis and petties outside of the relationship. None of these men are going to tell you that you're probably single because the biggest filter that you put on your search for a partner is requiring that he has to be black. They're not going to say that you've been in piss poor relationships with men for years because you never pursued what was in your best interest, because you put things like race ahead of class, and that you put all of your energy into trying to secure a...
Here's why I won't let the last 45 seconds pass. This idea that you all just require that he be black when you have another qualified option of non-black. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that you, the same person who just said to do what you want in your life as far as getting, the work, success, all that shit, but you're just going to take an L in your love life because he ain't black. I don't believe that. I will never believe that. You all just you don't give yourself any shot anywhere else until it's too late. Not the same. You just posted 30,000 pictures of black women with non-black men. Successful non-black men too. Get the fuck out of here. I get tired of that idea. Stop it. Stop lying. Stop. That's not the case.
Man, instead of trying to secure the bag. They're not going to tell you that if you open up your option to men of other races, that you have a significantly better chance of finding a man who is also on...
Every black woman ever on the planet Earth, please leave your black neighborhood. Go to the white malls. Go to the white coffee shop. Go to the white coffee in the ring. Go to where all the non-black men are, period. Damn. This is where the conversations always get goofy. Even on the men's side where it's well, we're just going to skip countries. What? God damn, really? Maybe it's just me and people we just don't really think any of this is that serious to where we're at this point. But fuck it. All of you who are not finding what you want in the black community, fucking leave. It's not that big a deal. If you can't find what you want in the black community, obviously the people you're talking shit to don't want you. And that's for men and women. So fucking leave. Nobody's gonna miss you.
like you are, and who can also afford to pay for everything. And they're never going to tell you that it's the men who need to change, and they don't have to change, because black men know that your loyalty to them is a guaranteed outcome no matter what they do. But you keep running to these men and hanging on to their every word, trying to prove your...
She just showed Kevin Samuels. at least I don't watch all of his shows, but at least from what I've seen, half the black women that call in and say he ain't gotta be black. So what the fuck?
Commitment to black love and trying to prove your loyalty to black men. I said this in my live stream and I'll say it again. Loyalty does not beget loyalty. Love does not beget loyalty. Submission does not beget loyalty. Leverage begets loyalty. Power begets loyalty, and you have neither, and you won't get either as long as you keep sending super chats asking these men to validate you, as long as you sit in these clubhouse rooms begging to be chosen, as long as you keep asking men to teach you how to be
Begging to be chosen. You're really doing the most at this point. You are really doing the most at this point. You know how many reviews are out there that talk the same shit? Doing the most at this point, yo.
women. As long as you keep betraying your position, what effort do they need to put in? Do you?
I got a question for you and women alike. Are you willing to go get the whack guy who won't cheat on you? Are you willing to go get the boring guy who won't cheat on you? Are you willing to go get just the guy that kind of exists but still, I guess worth something, working jobs, whatnot? Are you willing to go get that guy so he won't cheat on you? Or do you, again, want the same dude, type of the same prototype that's going to cheat on you? That's likely to cheat on you. There's only a minute left. I'm pretty sure it's the same shit. Be right, not positive. I'm out.